move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fuzell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio. Stands for In Christ Radio. We're your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television a couple of different ways. Local to North Alabama, there's Charter Communications on channel 182, and worldwide we're on Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you so much for listening. You still find us on all the social media sites as well. I have a very special guest with me right now. Her name is Lynn Stone, and Lynn is no stranger to this show. She is with Shepherd's Cove. And Lynn, I'm always looking forward to having you on the show.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. So let's talk volunteers. And
yes, ma'am.
I love volunteering. There's so much about volunteering. You get, and everybody has a few minutes. You can go out and do all kinds of things and help an awesome organization like Shepherd's Cove. But Lynn, before we get started talking about that, because we're worldwide now, so talk to us about Shepherd's Cove. What's Shepherd's Cove about?
Well, Shepherd's Cove Hospice is a nonprofit hospice here in, we're located in Albertville, Alabama, but we cover 9 counties and all the surrounding counties to Marshall County. And we take care of people at end of life or that are struggling with a terminal illness. Our biggest thing is we love to be able to help folks when they get that initial terminal diagnosis, because it gives us time to work with the families and help them establish rapport and just get to know them, and they get to know our staff. And we're there to provide physical support, but emotional and spiritual support as well. Mm-hmm. So we enjoy helping. We feel like it is our mission and to serve our community.
It is. I will tell you, I hear
we see people at home and then also in our inpatient unit.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And Lynn, I just wanted to tell you, I've told you, I think before, that when I meet people in the community and when I mention Shepherd's Cove, everybody knows about Shepherd's Cove, but what I'm hearing common is that you're helping the family members as well as the patient.
Right. Yes.
Because at the end of life, there's no instruction book. And I didn't find one when my son was born. I looked under him, over him, and everything else. There was no instruction book on how to raise that kid.
Right.
And there's no instruction book at the end of life either.
Well, and everybody's journey is different. We get to help folks that are early in their journey, and then we get to help folks that are towards the end of their journey and that we don't get to know very long, but everybody kind of journeys in their own way. And we're there just to help them through that. We don't have any magical words or anything that would make a situation different as far as the outcome, but we are there to acknowledge and provide quality of life and care for folks as they get to that point in life.
And I think that's awesome. And also what I've heard is that also the life can be expanded a few days. And I think that might be because they're not so worried about putting so much on their family.
Exactly. We see that a lot where people will come to us and then, the doctor may have given them a very short period of time, but because they're getting medications and just being able to be at home and not having to go back and forth to the doctor and those kinds of things, then it helps them and they actually live longer than what was expected. So
just less stress. I'm gonna tell you what, that helps everybody's life out.
Exactly.
Now, what is your function there at Shepherd's Cove Hospice?
Well, I am, my title is Spiritual Care Coordinator. I oversee all of our volunteer chaplains, and which we have several. Could always use some more. Anybody in the community that, works in their church or is a pastor or has a role in ministry at their church we'd love to talk to you about being a volunteer chaplain with us. Like I said, I oversee all of those chaplains, and then I also go out and make visits and provide spiritual support to patients and families. And then also oversee our We Honor Veterans program, and that's also a very important part and aspect of what we do. Is we always want to make sure that our veterans are honored during this time.
Absolutely, because you guys also, I mean, throughout any holiday, Memorial Day, whatever, you guys are always there. You have events, and then when a veteran passes away, it's also very, very awesome what you do for the family.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have some things that we do for our veterans in particular, and then for our families, we do present them with a memorial flag at not necessarily exactly at time of death, but whether they're in our inpatient unit or at home, we do present the family with a memorial flag.
Absolutely. Well, Lynn, my son is a young minister. And of course,
Okay.
he lives in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'm pretty sure he'd want to
you'd
help
get
you
him
guys
on board, wouldn't you?
well, absolutely. But let's talk to some young ministers who are out there. And maybe you just want to just, kind of dig in a little bit deeper, but maybe you just don't know folks that well.
Right.
It's a great way
Right.
to get it out there.
All they have to do is, I have a little, I'm gonna cover my face here just a minute, but this is just a little volunteer card that we've been putting out in the community at different places. All you've got to do is get online, come to our website and sign up. There's a volunteer page there, or a where you can go to make volunteer, for the agency, and fill out a profile, and I'll be glad to call you and get you set up. We have a 3-part training where you come in and spend about an hour to start with, and then we give you some modules, online modules to watch at your convenience. And then you come back and meet with Karen Denton, who is our volunteer coordinator. She oversees the total volunteer program. And she'll meet with you and get you finished up and ready to go, and get you set up with badges and all the paperwork you need and all of that stuff. But it is a very worthwhile thing as far as not only the chaplain volunteers, but just volunteering in general. We have families that are people that come that sit with patients, people that drive and run errands for patients and their families. We have florists in town that are gracious to give flowers to our patients and their families for their birthday. We have people that work at our thrift store. Now, when you volunteer at the thrift store, it is certainly something that is very helpful to us. You don't have to go through the full volunteer training to do the thrift store volunteering, but we are desperately looking for, and always, she's got her Shepherd's Cove find there she's got on. And
this is silver. This is sterling silver.
Really?
Got it for $3
at the thrift store.
It's beautiful. I love it.
It is beautiful.
The dress came from there too. $3 for the dress. You can't go wrong with basic black.
No, you can't.
Pearls, dress it up, dress it down, whatever you want to, but you can find some awesome things.
That's right. That's right.
And this is a Liz Claiborne dress.
Do what?
This is a Liz Claiborne.
Oh, okay.
So it was nice.
We do get some good things in our thrift store. And of course, our thrift store is used the proceeds from our thrift store is used to help us fund our patient programs, where we take care of patients whether they have insurance or not. So our thrift store helps fund different programs for us, one of those being taking care of patients with no insurance. It also helps fund our bereavement program, and that is something unique not unique to hospices, but kind of unique to our area, because we do community bereavement, not just hospice bereavement, where we have families that come to our center, our grief center, that may not have even been served by Shepherd's Cove Hospice, but they've had a loss, death, tragic something happen in their family, and they receive grief support from that. So our bereavement program also, is benefiting, or has benefited from, the thrift store.
Absolutely. And I wanted to mention this too about the thrift store and to businesses out there. Depends on when your fiscal year for your business is. And a lot of times at the end of the fiscal year, a company will do an inventory check. And they may have some things in inventory just taking up space, and they just really don't want to sell that particular product line anymore. And a lot of folks are donating to the thrift store, the part of their business deal. And you can write that off on your taxes as well.
And we get some estate donations as well from people in the community that we've served, their family, or and that's very helpful as well. But we're, as far as volunteering, if patient care is not your thing, we've got another place for you. And when we say patient care, we don't necessarily mean that you're going to be doing hands-on, like actually taking care of a patient, those kinds of things, but sitting with them, running errands for them, or just, going to the nursing home and reading a book to our patients that are there, or someone at home that is no longer physically able to, read and would like somebody to provide that support to read the Bible to them, or other forms of books and things that they would like to hear. So we we value that, and we have folks that, just like you talked about earlier, Miss Donna, you're coming to Cove Crafters. That's also one of our volunteer programs where we have a group of folks, and it's not just women. I understand there's some men in the group, and
my husband actually comes.
Very crafty people that come and help Miss Loretta come up with different ideas of little goodies and things that they make for all of our patients that the volunteers take out to the homes once a month. So, and I think that's on a Thursday. Is that right?
No, it's actually the second Thursday of the month. And usually begins about 5:30. And also Santa Fe Cattle Company feeds everybody. That's probably why you're seeing a few men sprinkle in there. And they feed us well, I'm telling you. So we'll get a few minutes to do that. And I really love Loretta. And I wanted to mention this too, because I'm a crafter. I love crafting. And so if you are a seasoned crafter, you're not going to get bored. And then another thing I wanted to mention, if you've never, ever, like my husband, you've never crafted anything ever in your life, you're still not going to be bored. I mean,
that would be me. I'm not crafty.
But you would absolutely love it. And Lynn, another thing, Albertville is growing like crazy. I mean, every time I turn around, there's a new business coming in.
It
is. And so if your spouse has just been, you guys have just been transferred in, and you don't know anybody in Albertville or in Marshall County or in DeKalb County as well, you can volunteer and make the cream of the crop.
That's right. That's right.
And that's
that is a good way of getting folks on board, is just, if you're new to the community and maybe you've volunteered somewhere else in another area and you are looking for something to do, give us a call. Like I said, you can call our office, or you can get on Shepherd's Cove website and sign up to be a volunteer. And as soon as I get your profile, your volunteer application, I'll be giving you a call. We do our trainings at least once a month. Our initial training is usually the last Tuesday of the month, and then you have about 3 to 4 weeks to finish up the first part, the middle part of your training. And then if you're not ready, you can carry it over to the next month, and we'll grab you the next time we do the follow-up training. So
I wanted to go to the thrift store just one more time and talk to you about this. I hate having yard sales. It's too hot. It's too sticky. I just don't want to mess with it. By the time I'm out there 30 minutes, I'm ready to pack it up and leave. I'm done. So if you're having a yard sale and you're just, you're not going to take all that stuff back in the house again. You're just not going to do it. You can go ahead and call Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop. Now, you got to set up an appointment. Don't expect them to do it right then, because they stay pretty busy. So set a time up for the guys to come out, and they'll lift everything. I mean, they'll just leave it out there, and they'll be glad to go ahead and take it on to the thrift shop. You don't have to worry about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Best thing ever happened, I'm going to tell you.
It is helpful. It's helpful to everybody. I mean, you get your stuff gone, and we get to use it and sell it and turn that into services.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You get tickled at this, Lynn. Loretta, she and I look out for things for each other at the thrift shop.
Uh-huh.
And so I saw a pile of paper, and I know that she does a lot of things with paper, like paper art and, books and all kinds of things. And so I'm looking at it, I'm filming a live video. I'm doing a Facebook Live, and I'm just excited. I said, wow, I'm going to go ahead and get this for Loretta. And I looked down on the box and had her address on it. She's the one who donated. And she said, no, don't bring that back. I don't need it.
That's great.
But you can find all kinds of great things. So let's talk for a few minutes too. And this is all about volunteering. So are there any structures? In other words, do I have to donate a particular amount of hours per month? How does that work?
No. Once you have your training out of the way, the only real requirement is you do have to be 18 because we do a background check. But once you have your initial volunteer training done and kind of go through all of that, then you can give as little or as much time as you have. And some months maybe you may not have as much. We have some exciting things. We've been doing some recruitment in our younger age group, generation of folks. We have a young fella who has just joined our volunteer program who is in college, and he is looking to do some things later in life that volunteering would be very beneficial to him. And so he approached us about volunteering with us, and we got him on board, and we're actually going to be doing more of that as far as recruiting younger people, because they may be in college, but they may have an extra some time even on the weekends or something that they could give to patients. And so it's never something that you're structured into. And if, like I said earlier, if patient care is not your thing, but you want to come in and help make notebooks, or if you're a very organized person and you like data entry, those kinds of things, we're always looking for folks to help us with paperwork and getting things filed. And we have a volunteer that comes in that makes phone calls for us once a week to check on our patients. So there's lots of different ways that you can volunteer if you don't want to be, face to face with family members or patients. You can do things behind the scenes. Medicare says that requires us to have 5% of all of our total time that we give to patients. We have to provide volunteer hours to match that total time. So all kinds of volunteer programming and things, when it revolves around a patient, goes towards that 5%. So,
well, I'm glad
one of the other things I thought about as far as volunteers too is, we do have the volunteer florist, but we're also always looking for professional volunteers that maybe you're maybe you're a beautician or a barber, and you want to give back to the community. We are always having families asking, how can I get my loved one's hair cut or done? They can't get out of the house, but we have to have someone that's licensed to be able to do that. So that's also an option if you wanted to give a few hours of your time and you're in that arena of work, if that's your livelihood and you'd love to give back to your community, that's another way of doing it.
I think it's really awesome. And think about this. Let's say you're a brand new beautician, you got your license, but you have no clients yet. This is the best way I know to get clients, because if you go help a patient, the family member is going to be right. And
exactly.
And they're going to love you because you just took care of their family member. So that's a great way. And then I'm really glad you guys are reaching out to young people, because sometimes, to get a job, I remember that it's been a long time ago since I was young, but I remember going out for job interviews and the door was always shut behind me saying, we're looking for somebody with experience. And that was always a handicap to me. So you can get a lot of, and counted as experience when you volunteer.
Exactly.
You do the best you can, act like it's a job.
That's right. And if there are businesses out there that if your employees have to do volunteer hours and you'd like for us to come and talk to, say, have a lunch or have a, if y'all have a staff meeting or whatever, and you'd like for us to come and talk a little bit about our volunteer program, just call me. We'd love to talk to anybody, any type of groups of people, whether it be businesses, churches, clubs, social clubs, whatever. We'd be glad to come talk to you about volunteering.
Well, I think that's pretty cool. And just think about this. Okay, let's say you've been laid off from your job. And I'll tell you something that employers love hearing. They love knowing that you didn't just sit around drawing your unemployment check, that you are out there volunteering. And if you want to be like the instead of the teacher's pet, you want to be the employer's pet. That's the best way I know, because you were busy and you were working out in the community and you were serving others.
That is a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're going to say, what did you do? And when you say, I was volunteering at Shepherd's Cove, they're going to go, oh, you were? Tell me about that. Mm-hmm. Or if maybe you raising kids, because I stayed at home for a good couple of years when my son was born, and I had no experience in those 2 years. But if you've been volunteering, Mr. and Mrs. Future Employer loves hearing that you stayed busy, you were helping others, you were serving. And that's what it's called. These businesses now are looking for a balanced employee, somebody who has a balanced life,
Right.
And when they know that you want to give, that's the kind of person they want to hire.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other ways folks can volunteer?
Well, in the springtime, we have our Camp Hope, which is our grief camp for children. We have been able to do that in the fall through our school systems. I'm not sure if they're going to get to do that this year or not. It's something we've kind of had to put on hold. But our bereavement department is always looking for folks to help volunteer with them as well, to send cards out to our folks on our bereavement, or like I said, work Camp Hope. Always come and just be a greeter in the inpatient unit on the weekends when we don't have as many staff. I mean, of course, they run their program, but I mean, when our whole, everybody doesn't work on the weekends, our inpatient unit, of course, is open. So sometimes we'll have folks that will sit and greet people and help families maneuver the building and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, and then financial support, financial donations and support for the agency is always a welcomed thing, because we do receive funding through Medicare and insurance, but it's never enough. And we always do what we need to do for our patients and families. So, the rising cost of everything these days has sometimes will kind of put not a damper, but I mean, it's always better when you've got a good financial situations.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to mention this too, and this is, you guys have an awesome board of directors as well.
Right.
And a number of folks who are in that form. I mean, I'm talking about all areas.
Volunteer as well. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know Mike Harden, who is the owner of Horizon Televisions, which is on channel 182, which is where we are also aired. And so he is also on the board of directors.
Right.
He's a good guy. He really is.
And we have more than just our primary hospice board. We have our palliative care, which is a division of Shepherd's Cove. We have their board, and we also have our foundation board. So those people are from the community and serve our community, very well by being on our boards. So.
Absolutely.
And then I know they've been talking to you the last couple of times we've been on. I know we've talked about Summer Soiree, but our fundraising is always a big way of volunteering as well. And that will be coming up on the 26th of August is one of our big fundraisers for the year. So.
Oh, that's going to be a really neat event. It always is. Yeah. And I wanted to mention the race to remember that you guys have every year. You've been doing this for a number of years, ever since I've
Right.
been. I actually got acquainted with you guys when we moved back from Charlotte, North Carolina in 2013. And so you guys started coming on the show, and I think that's really awesome. But I wanted to mention that, if you want to try out for that event, some folks are really serious about running.
They are.
And then some folks are like me, just want to show up, just see everybody. But if you're really serious about this event, go on ahead and start working on it now.
Mhm.
And you guys had it actually in the evening this past year.
We did. It was a little something different. I haven't heard. I don't know what their plans are for next year, but it was a good event. We had it at the Sand Mountain Park, and it was an evening glow run, and it was different, but it was fun.
Uh-huh. Okay. Anything you guys do is always a fun event. But again, volunteering, there are so many aspects to that. And we mentioned businesses, that would like to donate goods and services as well. So that's pretty awesome. So,
Right.
there's so many things you can do. And I was about to mention your young people. And you brought this up too about young folks volunteering. If you would like, maybe you're thinking about being a social worker, or you're thinking but you're going to college and you're thinking about becoming a social worker, or you would like to work somehow in the medical field.
Nurse. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, there's always going to be an opportunity for you there for the rest of your life.
Right.
Good way to get your feet wet and see if that's something
Yes.
that you want to do.
Exactly.
And I'm going to tell you something else too. And I'm going back to the thrift store again. Every time I go, I don't know who does your displays. I've been meaning to find out. Whoever they are had to be a home designer, because when they design it, it's just like, because sometimes we just can't think of what would I do with that? What would I do?
How would I set that up?
Yeah, how would I do it? Whoever does that is doing an awesome job.
They are.
Absolutely, they are. Now, I know that you guys have a website.
We do.
You can find more information about how to volunteer and other parts to Shepherd's Cove.
Yes, ma'am. I'll hold this up one more time. Can you see oh, there we go.
Well, I can see more of it. There we go. And it's shepherdscove.org, and then do a little / and spell out volunteer.
And volunteer. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Okay, less than 2 minutes. Time flies, Lynn. When you're on the show, zoom, it goes by
It's
fast.
gone.
Less than 2 minutes. So what would you like to say before you leave?
I just wish everybody a good week, and just remind you again that we're here to help this community. We say that Shepherd's Cove, our kind of our motto is our heart sets us apart, and I believe that we are a very big asset to this community, but because of the community itself and the community supporting us. So, because we could not do what we do without community support.
Absolutely. And I can't say this enough. If you're a young minister and you want to get your feet wet, you want to meet people, you want to pastor your own church, you're going to really meet a lot of interesting folks who can help you well on the way to pastor.
Right.
Absolutely. Lynn, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Miss Donna. You have a good day.
You too, and you take care. And thank
right.
you for watching Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio. In the town of Geraldine, Alabama, we're your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. And worldwide, you can find us on Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Again, thank you so much for watching. And I'm looking forward to seeing you for the next segment coming up as well. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for everything.
See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you in just a few minutes.